Hey guys, welcome to an interesting video in Wild Rift. So today we're back with another Jinx updated complete guide. Now the last one I did basically involved going for Runans last, but hey, that's a no-go now. Runans is too strong for that. But before we jump into why that's the case and what the build is, of course don't forget to check out Jinx's basic guide for her skills, leveling order, tips and tricks, as well as a couple of combos. Alright, so let's now just jump straight into our build. So pretty similar to what we had last time with a couple of changes. So firstly, of course, we're going to go for Gluttonous Greaves as our first item. Of course, huge amount of AD as well as Omnivamp. Pretty much just the best boots for ADCs. Then we have the Bloodthirster. So this is a little bit contentious. Why? Because Shield Bow obviously is really strong now. So some people like to go for Shield Bow in this position. I don't like going for Shield Bow in this position personally because I think Bloodthirster is better. Now, why do I think Bloodthirster is better? Well, Bloodthirster gives more damage than Shield Bow, it gives you more physical vamp than Shield Bow, and it gives a similar amount of attack speed. Essentially, the main difference between Shield Bow and Bloodthirster are two things. Number one, Bloodthirster gives you more AD and more consistent physical vamp, but Shield Bow gives you less AD, but in exchange for less damage, you're basically getting more survivability by getting that lifeline passive. So as a default, I actually think Bloodthirster is better, but in certain cases where there are multiple assassins on the enemy team, you can go for Shield Bow first item instead. Like for example, if there is people you can't protect yourself from, like maybe there's an enemy Rengar or whatnot, then going for Shield Bow first item might make sense and just skipping out on Bloodthirster completely. So for your second item, you want to go for Runans. Now, why are you going for Runans so early, especially since it's not a crit item? Well, basically, this item increases your damage by more than any other item can. Simply because we know that Jinx's rockets does AoE damage to everyone around her, right? You hit one rocket, it explodes, and everyone around takes damage. Now, if you have Runans and you're in rocket form, it's gonna essentially, the Runan's bolts are also gonna act as rockets. And those are gonna cause mini explosions as well. So if three people are standing clumped up together, instead of taking the explosion, instead of the main guy getting hit by the rocket and the two guys getting hit by the explosion damage, all three people are going to get hit, one guy with the rocket and two guys with the Runan's bolts, and all three of these are going to explode. So all three people are going to take like 2 times of explosion damage, which is huge. So this can, you know, boost your damage by so much if they're all clumped up together, which is a lot of the times in solo queue. Even if they're not, it still allows you to attack 3 people at one time. So this is still going to be very beneficial for you. So next up, we want to go for Magnetic Blaster. Now what this gives you is obviously you get even more attack speed, more crit, and of course you're going to get that passive where you're going to have the longer range to poke people down, as well as of course the 5 nearby enemies thing. So that's one of the reasons why I like to go for Bloodthirster as well, because I'm going for like 2 attack speed items that give me no damage. So this, I need as much AD here as I can from like these 2 items, right? And here these are 2 basically attack speed items that don't give me AD at all. So there is another build variation of this, which is where you don't go for Magnetic Blaster, and instead this is another spot where you can swap in your Shield Bow. So you can of course go for maybe Shield Bow first item into Runan's Hurricane, and then you can go for Bloodthirster third item. That's also viable, right? So you can play around with the build a little bit. It's not hard and fast. Of course, it really depends on the match and what you need. Some games, you know, Magnetic Blaster isn't even good because maybe you don't even need the range, right? Magnetic Blaster is mostly for the range. So then your last 2 items is the stock standard Moral Reminder for Armor Pen and Grievous Wounds, and of course IE for the increased crit damage, as well as of course the AD. Now you can of course swap the order around again depending on the matchup itself. If they're not too tanky, you can afford to go for IE earlier. If they are, maybe Moral Reminder earlier would be better. Runes, this one doesn't really need too much discussion. Lethal Tempo, of course, Jinx just needs a lot of attack speed, and Brutal, of course, the on hit damage, you're an ADC, you attack a lot. Giant Slayer, of course, really good against not just tanks, but anyone else who builds health as well. I go for Bloodline here, even though I already have 2 lifestyle items here. Because I have 2 attack speed items here, I don't need so much attack speed from like this, and this, right? So I'm going to go for Bloodline here. And here, Bone Plating, of course, for the anti-burst. If you go for Shield Bow, you could go for Ingenious Hunter here as well. And you always want to take Ghost and Flash, unless there are like 2-3 assassins that can jump on you. Maybe you want to consider an Exhaust, but mostly, if not, Ghost is going to be better. Now, with all that out of the way, let's jump straight into talking about our gameplay. Okay, so hopping into the gameplay. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, remarks, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will be, of course, sure to address them or drop a like. Okay, so now going into this matchup, now generally, as I said, Jinx normally wants a enchanter support to protect her, right? Ideally, you want a Lulu, maybe second choice a Yumi, something else like a Janna or whatnot could work. You generally want those kind of supports that buff you and whatnot. But in this case, we have a Blitzcrank. So of course, especially if you're playing in solo queue, you can't choose your support every game. And let's say you want to play Jinx, can she work? Of course she can still work, right? And most ADCs, like maybe with the exception of perhaps let's say Samira with a team that has no CC, may not really work. But most ADCs can pretty much work anywhere. It's just that of course there's an ideal situation and there is a not so ideal situation, right? So here we have a little bit of one of those not so ideal situations where Jinx doesn't have an enchanter. She instead has a Blitzcrank, which is not really even an engager, it's more of like a catcher kind of champion, but this can still work. Why? Because if Blitzcrank is able to land some hooks and get us fed early game, we can pretty much just, take over the game just because we're so much stronger, right? We don't even have to care about being protected. Sometimes if you're, so fed that you can kill anyone that comes anywhere close to you in the first place. And that's kind of the main goal here. So here, of course, we're against a Braum as well as a Kai'Sa. Braum, of course, very defensive champion, but as a Jinx, you can poke Braum out a lot because Braum can't really do very much against you except to just Q you. Kai'Sa also has a bit low range, so you can also kind of just try to poke Kai'Sa. So what we're trying to do is basically just land a little bit of poke here and there. Like that's kind of what we're doing here. They're kind of trading very aggressively onto the Blitzcrank here, and Blitzcrank gets chunked out a lot, which is kind of bad, but at the same time, it's not the worst because he doesn't need to go in and engage. He just needs to stay like a bit far away and just hook someone in. So it's not the worst case in the world. Here again, I'm auto-attacking the Braum a little bit. Auto-attacking the Kai'Sa and the Braum. Braum uses his shield, gets rooted by me, and Blitzcrank lands the hook onto Kai'Sa. Here I'm focusing the Braum. I'm quickly running away. Kai'Sa tries to flash forward, but I'm able to pick up the kill onto her. Volibear tries to flash forward as well. Tries to finish off Blitzcrank, and I get a triple kill. Complete disaster by the enemy team. Now, what honestly should have happened here is I finished the kill onto Braum, I run away with my passive, and maybe Blitzcrank dies, but probably not, and that's the end of the story. I have no idea why Kai'Sa decided to flash in there. She could have just ran away. Like, Blitzcrank is not going to be able to kill her. She could have just ran away, but instead she just donates to the Make a Fat Jinx Foundation. And Volibear decides to follow suit and do the same after that, after Kai'Sa has already died. So I have no idea what happened. Enemy team lost their mind. Volibear and Kai'Sa just decides to run under tower and feed. But yeah, I'm not gonna complain whatsoever. It's kind of just amazing here, but yeah. So what you will see is that in this game, I'm horrible with my long range ults. Normally, I always mention as Jinx, most of the time you always want to go for the long range ults if you spot a low HP enemy because you have very little to lose. Most of the time when you're in a fight, you're not really going to use ult anyways until the very end of the fight when you're kind of like out of range and whatnot. So your ult is not a very important cooldown, so you want to always just try to get the cross map ult because you might just get a free kill. Here once again Kai'Sa gets hooked, gets completely destroyed, and here I'm going to use the reset to run down the Braum with my extra range from my rockets, and I get another 2 kills. So now suddenly out of nowhere, 5 kills in not even 3.5 minutes, like 3 minutes plus. Huge. And we're also going to be able to cash in on some tower plates. So here obviously the enemy team is of course just respawning and making their way back to lane. So we can't get too many plates. We get 3 plates, which is already a lot. And we're just going to destroy their fruit. And we're even greeding for a 4th plate, which is really bad. Honestly, we should not be doing this, but we managed to actually get away with it. So we get pretty much all the plates of the tower without getting the tower itself. And we're now like basically nearly double the goal of Kai'Sa. We're over double the goal of Braum, obviously, but we're almost double the goal of Kai'Sa. And she should be, scared of us. Now, the issue here is because we haven't reset, you can see that in terms of items, me and her are actually roughly the same, right? So here, Blitzcrank gets another knock-up, just hiding in the bush, and Kai'Sa runs away. Braum's shield is pointed the wrong direction, so here I'm just free-firing onto Braum. Blitzcrank is really low. This baits the Braum in, and Braum realizes, oh man, I'm in trouble. So I try to flash forward for Braum, but I get stunned because Braum passive procs. So instead, I'm just going to focus Kai'Sa, and I'm going to just shoot my ult, and I know this is going to hit the Braum. Why? Because Braum took a very stupid path, where if you guys didn't know, the tower, you can walk to the left or the right of the tower, like my left or my right. If you walk to the right, you have to walk through that small gap, which basically means there's no way you can dodge a Jinx ult unless you flash, which we already know he doesn't have flash. So, 2 more kills in the pocket and the entire tower, including the first tower. And at this point in time, we are so incredibly fed. We have more gold than Kai'Sa and Braum combined. And we pick up, of course, our entire Bloodthirster, and we have enough for the Nashor's Talon as well. So, huge early game lead, 7 kills in less than 5 minutes. Really, at this point, really it should be a free win. Especially if you look at the rest of our team. Vladimir is not feeding, he's 0-0. Pantheon is actually very far ahead, he's 4-1. Maybe Kill's feeding a little bit, he's 0-2. So, she's kind of feeding Yone a little bit. And of course, in this particular kind of situation, Yone could take over the game and he can kill us pretty easily. So, that could be a problem. But more or less, Kai'Sa is kind of out of the picture for now. So is Braum. Lux and Volibear are not doing too well either. So the Yone is kind of the only hope of their team. Of course, not to be underestimated, Braum gets hooked again just trying to clear a ward. Takes a ton of damage, misses the ult on me and hits it on the Blitzcrank instead. Randa's now like trying to run down the Kai'Sa, but we're not going to reach her. So instead, we're just going to use this opportunity to just clear the minions quickly. Push out and we can now roll over to mid. You can see we're pinging. Volibear is trying to make a very aggressive play. Because of Mountain Rift, we're actually able to walk around the Scuttle Vision. I tried to ult the Lux, who's at 1 HP here, but unfortunately we don't get it. Pantheon tries to ult in, but obviously Lux is not going to stay there. She's actually gone into the enemy jungle to try to run away. Now she's actually back under the tower. Pantheon is able to easily finish her off. And here I'm trying to focus the tower to not only get the tower, but get the reset as well. Braum unfortunately blocks my bullet, so he's able to save the tower for 2 seconds longer, but which causes Blitzcrank to take like 1 or 2 extra tower shots, but overall it's not quite big of a deal. Vladimir here with a complete trash build of going for crown first item. This gives you no damage and like very little cooldown reduction, and it's pretty bad for Vladimir. Vladimir wants a lot of cooldown reduction. So probably rushing Lucidity Boots into something like a Cosmic Drive or whatnot would be a lot better, but he not only has no boots, but he also has crown first item, which is absolutely horrendous. He ends up dying here despite having the crown, which is no good. So here, we're just headed mid just to pretty much clear the wave. We don't really want to engage the enemy in an odd number fight. Of course, unless they do something stupid again, like try to dive us or something like that. But overall, we're kind of fine here. Blitzcrank just, could be fishing for a hook. If he hooks someone, they're dead. Pantheon is kind of nearby. As well, Lux is getting caught. Here, I'm able to get the last auto in as Pantheon gets rooted, and he's unable to do so. So we are able to finish off the pretty much a freebie onto Lux. And surprisingly, at this point in the game, we have 9 kills, 0 deaths, and 0 assists. Just all pure kills just going into my back pocket. Here, we are able to complete Runans. Obviously, this is kind of a huge power spike for me. And here, they're going for a bot tower, so Pantheon is ulting in, and we're just going to come over follow up. We're going to just focus the Kai'Sa. Pantheon gets the kill on Kai'Sa. We're going to focus the Braum. He gets the kill on Braum as well. And here, Yone, the fat member on any team, tries to do something about the situation, but I'm able to flash on him and auto him one last time before he gets the ult off to escape. And we're also able to kill the Yone. Now, Yone, I say, is the most fat member of their team, which is true, but he's also 3 and 4, so he doesn't even have a positive KDA, right? So we're definitely in a really good spot as an entire team. But you have to remember that I'm about almost 4k goal ahead of the Kai'Sa, which is basically majority of my team's goal lead. So we do want to be cautious here. The other half of my team's goal lead is mostly on Pantheon. So we two are the main carries of the team at the moment. So we have to really be careful, and we don't want to die. Now this is where having an enchanter would be very useful. Now here I am very vulnerable, very exposed. Not many people can really protect me here. In fact, no one can protect me. Here Blitzcrank gets caught like by all 5 members of the enemy team. I can't save him. I can just try to put the root down, see if they get rooted and he's able to run away. Now Braum, I don't know what he's doing here, but he kind of trolls here, and we're able to just get a free kill onto Braum. But yeah, enemy team is now going for the mid lane tower. No point going there because I can't defend it alone, and Pantheon and Kill are not moving, so I'm just going to back and instead just buy some item components. We lost 2 members of the team. We have to give the mid lane tower. We can't really defend that. We can pick up the minions though when it pushes in, like so. And yeah, so here, I'm feeling very vulnerable. The only person who can really help me here is either Blitzcrank peeling for me when they engage on me, assuming he saves CC for when they engage, or Kale if she gives me an ult. So, we have to rely on the generosity of our Kale, mostly to survive. Honestly, seeing as the state that Kale is in, her ult should honestly be just used for me, but we know this is solo queue, so we know that that may not be necessarily what they're thinking, even though it's what's objectively better. Like, if not me, then maybe Pantheon when he dives into the backline, right? But here, me and Pantheon both try to just give the dragon to each other, but it ends up like it's an awkward situation where we both just walk away and could have gotten stolen by the Lux out or something like that. So here, Volibear goes on me, and Kale actually gives me the ult, which is, you know, thanks for that, Kale. But turns out Volibear wasn't gonna get me anyway, because he was just running into 4 people. Hook goes in on Braum, gets me the reset. I'm not just blasting the Lux. Lux has to flash, because if not, 2 more autos would have killed her. And Vladimir ult actually finishes off the Lux with the second pop. So now I'm just running down the Kai'Sa now. Kai'Sa has bone plating, so she's not taking too much damage from my first 3 autos. But, you know, if she didn't have bone plating, I think we could have actually just run her down under the tower there. Speaking of which, the tower is now gone. We have gone that mid lane tower, and we're seeing if we can get the top lane tower. Look at how much damage I'm doing. Yone, really hard to see here actually, but he was full health, by the way. He's now like 1 HP. If we had enough mana for ult, we could even have just tried to ult down, and he might have just died from it. So here is where the mistake happens. Here we get spotted by the enemy skull thingy. So here I'm not skull thingy, the poro thingy. So here I'm just trying to take my blue buff, right? I'm trying to counter jungle the enemy team on the way out, but Blitzcrank, you know, is just tanking for me while I'm doing that, and Yone ends up getting onto me, exhausting me, and pretty much just killing me. I try to flash away, but I end up just pretty much just dying here. Kale doesn't have ult, so she couldn't save me. Pantheon ults on the spot for some reason. I'm not quite sure what happened there. But ends up, I die. I give my huge like 1k shutdown to the Kai'Sa, which is the least ideal person to give it to, maybe other than Yone. And Kale also dies, and she also gives over a shutdown, and this is really, really bad for me. This is purely my mistake. And speaking of mistakes, I don't know why Pantheon decided he needed to flash here. Maybe because he was trying to avoid Lux damage, but he dies as well. Yeah, that was purely my mistake. No one else is to blame here. I got really, really greedy to get the blue buff, not just to deny the enemy, but also because the mana restoration is really, really useful for Jinx, because she can spam rockets if she has blue buff. And unfortunately, that not only got me killed, but also got my team killed, and also gave enemy team a shutdown. So really, rookie error, you know, by me here. Thankfully, though, we're kind of able to salvage the situation. Braum gets rooted again. Braum dies again. Gives me a reset. I'm trying to reset and get the Yone. Yone is, of course, generally the most valuable member of their team now. Maybe Kai'Sa could be as well. But here we are able to burst down the Yone. We're running people down again. Really good prediction by the Lux that I'll walk forward. Hits a very good root and saves her life, at least for a while. So here with the Bloodthirst, I can easily just heal back up to full health. And of course also now have the, I keep wanting to call it Rapid Fire Cannon, but I had the Magnetic Blaster. Right, so Magnetic Blaster, super duper good item for Jinx with the extra range. Especially when you're this fat, 12 and 1. Just the one blast from you could, you know, be a lot of damage. Volibear tries to ult in, kill ults, and basically immunes his damage. He ends up dying, and now we're able to basically just go for Baron because Lux is still respawning, Volibear is dead. Of course, we still have the 2 main carries, Yone and Kai'Sa, but they don't really even come to contest. We're able to pick up the free Baron, and I'm just going to reset. Complete a BF sword, which is a huge amount of AD at this point, because obviously, you know we have no AD from the Blaster. We have only 15 AD from the Runans, and of course we have the huge amount of AD is mostly from the Bloodthirster and even our boots. Always happens to me. I'm trying to go for red buff and it despawns right as I'm like an inch away. But anyway, we're able to clear out the bottom lane jungle and push out the bottom lane. Now here, I don't know why my whole team is going mid, because we need to push the side lanes, because those are where the towers are standing. We can't end from a mid lane push here. So we need to push the side lanes, and I don't want to push the side lane alone because that's really dangerous. I'm just gonna get picked off and die. So I have to join my team here. So here I'm making my way over to the top lane because it looks like they've chosen to push the top lane. So fine, we can 5v5 and push top lane. And here again removing the enemy vision. Vladimir behind, in between 2 towers, killing the Lux. Here I'm gonna easily pick up this tower, and using the reset from the tower, I'm trying to just get some free damage onto Volley and Kai'Sa, which we do get a little bit of. And here I'm once again gonna finish the tower using the reset again. I'm trying to blast them, but they're a little bit far away. Here Hook comes in onto Volibear. Yone comes in, I'm able to actually just flash away. Somehow he didn't really even do very much damage onto me. I'm not quite sure why, but because Kale didn't ult me or anything like that. But we are able to, or did Kale actually ult me? Just that I didn't realize. But we are actually able to just finish the game right then and there. Of course, it's a game that we got really, really fed, but you can see the power of Jinx even after the nerfs. She's still really, really strong. Gonna leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.